Oh yeah, Funded Today. Does that thing? I've seen a lot of mixed feedback. Do you have any experience with those types of agencies?
Yep, and it's mixed feedback.
Classic.
Yeah, so and that's just the case, man. But I'll break it down for you. So all of those agencies like Funded Today, dude, they've done amazing work on some campaigns, and they've done absolutely garbage work on some campaigns. And that's just the case. So, and a big part of that too. So a lot of like the negative feedback you'll see towards an agency, a lot of that also has to do with the person's product because people get attached to their product and they think it's the best and they think it should succeed. But it's again back to, does it fit the platform? Like, are we talking about a product that works on Kickstarter? And a company like Funded Today, they don't filter out. They don't really have filters in place. Because they charge an upfront cost of to
Yeah.
onboard you of 3,500, and so they'll just. I think they pretty much just take everybody that's willing to pay them that. And so they're not really, like me. If someone tries to hire me to do and market a Kickstarter campaign, my very first thing is, what's your product? Like, I could literally show you email after email. I think I might have even done it with you, where I was like,
Yeah.
what's your product? Because
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
that's
you
the first
absolutely
thing I look at is like, is there, and that's, I'm not always right. I could definitely be wrong, but I try and gauge the product. Is it a fit? And then can I work with that to make it a success? Instead of saying, yep, give me $3,000 and I'll, get things going. Because like ultimately I'd rather, because I've started launching my own product there. So like I understand it from a creator standpoint, not just a marketing agency that's trying to make $3,000 off of 500 people every month. Like, I don't. This is not. So Funded Today will operate that way. So a lot of the negative feedback is oftentimes just people who don't understand that their product wasn't a good product. But then also Funded Today has absolutely done garbage work. And I've literally, one thing that they started doing, I think a couple of years ago now, but they started actually building the campaign, the design, the video, the graphics and stuff. Terrible. Like, I literally took, someone reached out to me who worked with Funded Today, had them build it, launched it, and it didn't fund. And they came to me and I was like, you know what, your product's legit. The campaign wasn't done well. So let me just rework the campaign. That's it, relaunch. And then the campaign was a success. So I don't know. That's how Funded Today, like, first you should have a good understanding of your product and not really rely on someone else, especially an agency that's wanting your money up front, to tell you whether or not they can make it successful, because they're all going to say, sure. But there's one called Jellop, Jellop, which is, they've had some massive campaigns, but they are picky. They don't take on every product, every project. You go through a process, and if you get approved, then you can work with them. And so I think that's more legit, but they have to accept your product, and I think they also look for it, and lots of times they already have to see proof in your live campaign that it's going to succeed.
Yeah, I sent them an email, and I was trying to qualify these guys out and understand like what they're actually up to. And I sent Gel Up and Funded Today an email, and the Funded Today sales rep was just kind of trying to sell 3,500 grand worth of product. And like I did sales like professional. I sold to like Dell and Google and shit. So like,
Yeah.
I lived that life, to a much higher degree than that rep probably has. But he was just trying to sell something, and I was like, dude, like,
Yeah.
you're not even. And then the gel up people were like, didn't really give me much of an answer, or they might have told me to pound sand, but just didn't really, no real response from them.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anything built out yet at the time, so I think it was probably that. And I just said, hey, I've got this concept. Can we have a conversation? And they just didn't really respond.
Yeah, I think, yeah, they do. They definitely want to have like a good look at your stuff.
Yeah.
So that would probably help. And then, I mean, there's good and bad in the agency. So like Funded Today, for example, one thing that's amazing that they have is pixel data and lookalike audiences, ginormous ones based off of years and years of Kickstarter backers. Like, the lookalikes and the emails that I have collected is not even close to the amount of data that they've collected.
Yeah.
But I've been I've been on campaigns where they're on it and I'm on it, and we're both running ads, and just nothing happens. And I've even seen my ads outperform theirs. So it but then like they've done some campaigns where all that data really comes together, and the product is such a good fit that they take those campaigns to millions. And I haven't done that with my ads. So there's those kinds of differences.
The fundamental advantage for us would be, I think I've already evaluated the product fairly well, right? So assuming that stuff just stays the same from my pre-market tests, like, I was acquiring customers for $15. The only thing that would limit us would just be how much ad spend we can use. So really the function that Funded Today or anybody else the value they would provide would be being a piggy bank to run ads with us, really. And like, that's probably the one thing I would, if you get it 2 days in and your customer acquisition cost on Facebook ads is like $10 or something, it doesn't even matter who runs the ads. Like, if they can provide budget and help you run, then you can split the profit with them.
Yeah, that's true. I completely agree with that. A couple things I'd say there is just make sure, because I think Funded Today takes 30%. So I mean, I would of funds that this about Funded Today. If you go back to them, they're tricky about this.
They take a slice of organic.
Yes, they're tricky about it too, dude. I was on a campaign. I was working on side by side, like I was on the same campaign as them. The creator signed into one of their contracts and didn't know that, and I had built the campaign, so I had my percentage off the back end. And he just got screwed, man. He was like, he didn't know they were taking the organic cut, and so he lost like 50% of his back end, which is just gnarly. But yeah, so that's good that you know that, because they kind of slip that in there and don't really tell you anything about that.
Have you ever heard of anybody, like, basically what I'm going to say at the end of this call too is like, if you want to hop on this thing from a strategic professor for ad running, if you want to contribute any ads, like, I'll split the profit of ads that you drive with you. And I'm going to pitch the same thing to Funded Today, right, to any of these guys I interact with. Yeah, that's a thought. I mean, is that something you've ever done before, or have interest in doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I typically prefer, most of my campaigns have been, I take a percentage off the back end.
Yeah.
Because I just think that makes that's best case scenario for everybody, I think. But a big part of that, again, is me analyzing the product and its potential, and because like it's hard, if I don't have confidence in it, then how am I gonna be confident in a good number off the back end? So,
like, what I'm imagining doing is like, the strategy would basically be like, launch it, start running ads on it myself, because I've got like basically $30K that we can spend, which is a decent chunk of change.
Yeah.
And if we can maintain a good customer acquisition cost, then I'm going to bring in everybody and their mother who wants to participate to run ads, and then on the revenue that they generate from the ad, because I already know the customer acquisition cost is low, so I can already present to them, hey, here's all the data, we know this already works, we're totally willing to have you run ads in conjunction with us, and we can just split the profit that you drive. And like Funded Today, I would tell them absolutely no way in hell are you getting a percentage of the organic, because that could fuck everything up if they take a percentage of organic, really, at the end of the day.
And they've done that, man. They've done that to people. Like I don't. That's a sneaky move. I don't like it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's interesting because I'm sure if you run an equation around it, at some percentage, it might actually work out in your benefit as a creator. But I'm sure in a lot of percentages, that's why kind of the beginning of the conversation, I was really asking a lot about, like, the percentage of, out of my sheet, whatever, the percentage of like revenue that people are driving from organic Kickstarter bump versus how much is ad driven or PR driven or whatever other tactic. So like, if you've got a campaign that's 70% organic, Funded Today contributes 15% of profit by running some ads, and then they're like, oh, I get to slice all this organic revenue. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's what they do. That's yeah. So I would definitely work it out with them where that's carved out. They they get what they produce.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm on the campaign that I just mentioned. I had done lead gen on that campaign as well, and so it's like they wanted a cut of my lead gen and my campaign build, and it's just like, yo, that's not nope, that's not okay. I don't agree with that. It wasn't my choice. The creator was making the moves, but